And we're live.
We'll call this council meeting to order at 6 o'clock. Need a motion for adoption of the minutes, please.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held at City Hall on May 25th, 2020 be adopted as circulated.
Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Draycott. All those in favor? And that's carried. We have no delegations this evening. We do have one public hearing. And we'll open the public hearing for variation order PC 2920, and this is for Portage la Prairie at 611 First Street Northwest. And is there anyone here to speak to the hearing?
I believe that would be me, Ian McIver, Courtney's husband.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McIver. Go ahead and tell us about the variation.
Okay. Yeah, I guess for the variance would be on both the north and south wall property. The house sits currently 2 feet from the north property line, so the original house. It is 40 feet long on the north wall, and my plan, we were putting an addition on, so I'd decided to go straight south from the north corner. As I got going on some of the construction there, I noticed the last 8 feet on the north wall was an addition at some time. So as digging in the ground, I noticed that the foundation wasn't up to code, and I wanted to replace it. So I need the variance on that side because it's supposed to be 5 feet off the property line. And then on the south side, we want to put the house 10'6" off the property line to have access to the backyard. And I believe it is supposed to be 12 feet from the property. So the reason being for there, we just want to get a little bit more space in the living room and dining room in the house. So yeah, the variance would be beneficial in a number of ways. Aesthetically, it'd be more functional and even cost efficient as well. On the north wall, the house was already there, so I'd just like to continue on like it was there, and then build the new addition to the south.
Okay, did council have any questions for Mr. McIver? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you for the information, Mr. McIver. And I need a motion to close the hearing.
Was there anybody did you ask if there's anybody to speak against it? Or does that matter?
Anybody else to speak to the hearing, for or against?
And there was no letters received.
And no letters. I don't believe there's any other speakers, Councillor Meyer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved, and I so move that the public hearing for variation order PC 2920 for Courtney McIver now be closed.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. All those in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, council, before you have, as soon as my starts to open up here, just a minute. Just having a bit of difficulty. There we go. Is a request for variation, and of course, council, the issue, as you just heard from the applicant, was to vary the following, which is the south side requirement of 4.6 meters when no attached garage or carport. That's to be reduced to 3.2 meters. And on the north side, yard requirement of 1.5 meters to be reduced to 0.56 meters. So the background, as you heard, is the applicant, Courtney McIver, is applying for variation order to reduce the south side from 4.6 to 3.2 and the north side 1.5 to 5.56. As was mentioned, the applicant's constructing a new addition and would like the addition to line up with the existing house. The house will not have an attached garage or carport. If the variance is approved, the owner is aware that the interior of the north wall would be required to have 5/8 fire-rated drywall on the complete wall. No windows allowed in the north wall, and the north wall will be required to have a non-combustible cladding installed on it. In the past, City Council has approved similar requests, and those minute references are there for your information. In regards to the side yard reduction, City Council has also approved similar requests in the past, and those minutes are there for your reference as well. As the applicant alluded to, you'll see a sketch that was there for your information. And of course, the building is in an R1 residential single family zone. The application has been circulated to various city departments. There have been no concerns. Public notice has been sent to all property owners within a 100-meter radius, and there have been no objections. So it's the administrative recommendation, and I so move that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie approve the variation request of Courtney McIver to vary the following. South side yard requirement of 4.6 meters when there's no attached garage or carport to be reduced to 3.2 meters. And the north side yard requirement of 1.5 meters to be reduced to 0.56 meters at the property known as 611 First Street Northwest, which is legally described as lot 1617, block 3, plan 343 in the parish of Portage la Prairie.
Moved by Councillor Meyer and seconded by Councillor Buds. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We're going to move into committee. First up is Finance Legislative Property Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. This committee has nothing to report for this meeting.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development Committee. Councillor Meyer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. In front of you there was something we had brought forward in committee last week. The report to council. Oh, where's sir? Do we have a public hearing on that one? No. All right.
Subdivision.
Go, open up for me. So brought forward from the Planning and Economic Development Committee, the issue is to consideration of the application to subdivide the parcel described as lots 95, 96, 97, and 98. Plan 12, PLTO and RL 64, the parish of Portage la Prairie, to divide it into 4 lots for the purpose of constructing 2 duplexes. So the alternatives, of course, to approve the application, to amend the proposed plan of the subdivision, or to deny the application. I won't go through the whole thing. We did bring it up in committee last time, but the applicant does propose to subdivide the parcel. The proposed lots will be serviced with municipal services, and pipe water will be accessed by a municipal road. As you might be aware, it is in the downtown corridor area, and the proposed subdivision may be considered under the policy 13.2 for residential uses. And the only thing I'll point out is that higher density residential uses may be accommodated in the downtown corridor. Zoning bylaw right now for the R1 single family dwelling zone, the lots currently are zoned R1. So a zoning bylaw amendment is required to rezone the 4 two-family dwelling lots from R1 to R2. Proposed lots to satisfy the minimum site area and width requirements of the R2 zone. The minimum 6,000 square feet. The proposed lots are 6,000 square feet. The site width is 60 feet, and the proposed lots are 60 feet as well. There's some notes there in regards to the 2-family dwelling subdivision. There's a number of comments other than the required easements. There's no concerns, and the other ones recommend approval. And of course, for the land titles, requires a multi-lot plan survey. The sketches are there for your information, in addition to the site map, as well as a zoomed out map as well. The Community and Regional Planning does recommend the approval of the subdivision. And it's the administrative recommendation and the recommendation of this committee. And I so move that the council of the city of Portage la Prairie approve the subdivision of the parcel described as lots 95, 96, 97, and 98. Plan 12, PLTO and RL 64, parish of Portage la Prairie into 4 lots of 3,564.78 square feet for the purpose of constructing 2 duplexes with 1 dwelling unit per lot. And I so move.
Okay, moved by Counselor Meyer and seconded by Counselor Buds. Any questions or comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We're going to move to Community Service Committee. Counselor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Community Services Committee has nothing for this meeting.
Thank you. The Waterworks Committee, Counselor Wall, please.
Your Waterworks Committee has nothing to report at this time.
Thank you, Counselor Wall. And Transportation Committee, Counselor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Transportation Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. And Counselor Knox, Public Safety Committee, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Public Safety has nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. We have no deferred business. However, we have some new business this evening. First item is the first reading of the General and Parking Bylaw Enforcement Bylaw 20-8709, and this is Finance, Legislative and Property Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as we're finding, and what we knew about this, administration has been going through and amending some of our bylaws as it directly relates to the action taken by the city for the removal of our parking meters. And this is such an instance. We are therefore looking to approve a new bylaw and repeal another one. So just some background for those that remember, in December 2013, the province of Manitoba did enact legislation providing an alternative approach for processing and resolving minor bylaw infractions. And that was under the Municipal Bylaw Enforcement Act. And it was just intended to create a very simple and fair and cost-effective system for dealing with minor bylaw infractions and things like parking tickets. So the way that worked up until 2017, anyone wanting to challenge a parking ticket was required to plead not guilty in provincial court. And then after that, complaints had to be made to a municipally appointed screening officer. And we did have that process, and we did use that process in our city. And this process has been incorporated in our bylaw. Now, with the removal of the parking meters, that changes things. And so references to meters and the former parking tickets have now been removed in this new bylaw. And penalty amounts are now listed in the bylaw as well as updated in the city's fees and charges. So another change is also is that the city manager can now appoint the screening officer, which eliminates the requirement of a resolution of council. So again, it's just one more step in increasing efficiencies and cleaning things up as it relates directly to the removal of the parking meters. So it is a recommendation of the committee, and I so move that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve General and Parking Bylaw Enforcement number 20-8709 by giving it first reading.
Moved by Councillor Buds and seconded by Councillor Espy. Any questions or comments on the motion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. The next item of new business is the award of tender. This is for 2020 Saskatchewan Avenue East, and this is sidewalk reconstruction. And this is the Transportation Committee. Councillor Espy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue is to award the tender for the 2020 Saskatchewan Avenue East sidewalk reconstruction. You'll see a table here that includes the bids and how they ranked. The tender for the 2020 Sask Avenue East sidewalk reconstruction was advertised in the Construction Association of Rural Manitoba, Winnipeg Construction Association, MERCS, and city webpage. Due to COVID-19, tenders were distributed digitally to 11 contractors. The tender closed on May 26, 2020. This tender followed the new procurement process that incorporates sustainability factors. Ratings were based on a total possible 100 points, awarded with 10 points for sustainability factors and 90 points for pricing. The evaluation does not consider factors such as experience, qualifications, ability to perform the work, nor past performance. Downtown sidewalks and ornamental lighting. The construction project will begin to replace paving stone downtown sidewalks, which have become uneven and are at the end of life. The paving stones will be replaced with new concrete sidewalk. Near the intersections, colored stamped concrete will be used to maintain the downtown aesthetic. The overgrown ash trees will be replaced with more size appropriate Tartarian maples. The 2020 budget has $325,000 for downtown sidewalk improvements, with the Nelson Rivers bid of $220,710 to replace the sidewalk on the north side of Saskatchewan Avenue from Royal Road to 3rd Street Northeast. The remaining $104,290 will be used to replace the ornamental lighting and add new flower planters and benches. It is the administrative recommendation, and I so move, the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie award the 2020 Saskatchewan Avenue East Sidewalk Reconstruction specified in tender 20 OPS 018 to Nelson River Construction, Inc. for the price of $220,710, including taxes.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions or comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. And the third item of new business this evening is the first reading of traffic bylaw 20-8705, and this is Transportation Committee. Councillor Espy, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The issue is to approve traffic bylaw 20-8705, thereby repealing traffic bylaw 01-8105. With changes coming regarding the parking in the city's downtown area, updates to the traffic bylaw are required. Administration took the opportunity to conduct a comprehensive review of the entire bylaw, and updates were made throughout. Major changes include references to meters, meter enforcement, and maintenance in the downtown area were removed. New information was added regarding timeline street parking and time-limited parking lots, how these will be enforced, and how permits can be purchased. There will be a free 2-hour parking on the streets in 2 city-owned lots in the downtown area. Vehicles will now be towed after being parked for 72 hours on a street or off-street parking area instead of after 7 days. The traffic authority was changed from council to the city manager. This allows the city manager to make decisions regarding matters such as traffic control devices, parking issues, declaring parking bans for snow removal during severe weather, impoundment of vehicles, designation of truck routes, permitting temporary road closures for parades, etc. This eliminates the need for council resolutions or bylaw changes to make these decisions. It is the administrative recommendation that the Council of the City of Portage la Prairie approve traffic bylaw 20-8705 by giving it first reading, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Espy and seconded by Councillor Meyer. Any questions, comments on the motion? All those in favor of the motion? And that's carried. We have no old business this evening, so council is adjourned at 6:17 p.m. And we're going to move right into committee, and committee is open to the public and the media. We'll call committee to order at 6:18 p.m. And first up is the Finance, Legislative and Property Committee. Councillor Buds, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. City Planning and Economic Development, Councillor Meyer, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The City Planning and Economic Development Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. And Community Service Committee, Councillor Draycott, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening, the Community Service Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. And Councillor Wall, Waterworks Committee.
Yes, Your Worship, coming up at the next council meeting will be the industrial services agreements between the city, Roquette, McCain, and Nutropy. It's a fairly lengthy report. I hope everybody's had a chance to read it. I did want to ask Carly or anybody who would like to answer about the responsibilities identified when an industry decides that they might cease operation. So would they be responsible for a prorated portion of the capital that have been put into these projects, or how is that going to be handled?
David, are you okay if I respond?
Please.
Okay. Yeah, so in the agreements, there's an entire clause on the ceasing to operate. if an industry is to leave, they will be responsible for all fixed operating costs until the end of the term. And in the fixed operating costs includes the contribution to the industrial pretreatment capital, the reserve fund that we had discussed previously.
Right.
So they will be responsible for that up until the end of wherever we're at in that agreement, like the time. They do have the option to reassign that portion to somebody else to take it over essentially, but if there is nobody else, then they are responsible.
Okay. And what about the responsibility for the solids in the old BVF?
Yeah, so we did an inventory, and through basically the average use from each industrial contributor over the last 5 years, we looked back, we calculated what their average contribution was over that time. And so each industry is responsible for their percentage of that sludge. It was 1,000 tons is the inventory. So it's about a 55 to 45% split between the two. And so there is wording in there on that outlines those percentages, as well as a maximum cost contribution. The industries wanted to make sure there was a maximum number in there and it didn't just go on forever, but so it does outline specifically their percentage.
Thank you very much. That's all I have to report, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. Transportation Committee, Councillor Espy.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Transportation Committee has nothing to report.
Thank you. And Public Safety Committee, Councillor Knox.
Thank you, Your Worship. Nothing formal to report this evening, but I did just want to make a mention that as our province moves into new phases of reopening, that for citizens who want to be up to date on what's happening with our city when it comes to facilities and services, that our website is always up to date under our COVID response. They can find the most up-to-date information there. And I would also like to give a kudos to our administration and staff who through this time have made decisions and made plans on the fly in order to keep our employees as well as our public and citizens as safe as possible. So I think that you've done a really good job in that, and we're just hoping to see this continually reopen and that we keep that curve flattened. So thank you to administration.
Thank you, Councillor Knox. Well, there's no more business, so committee is adjourned at 6:23 p.m.